All right, so welcome those of you who are just joining us, and welcome to those of you who came in. This is actually a couple more coming in. This is actually our 8th family engagement meeting that we have done so far this year. And we're happy that all of you that are able to make it tonight on the call are here, and we hope that you get a lot of information. We have 2 community resources that are here to speak with us tonight. We have Pam Georgiana, and she is the Vice President of Lutheran Social Services, here to talk about all of the different resources that Lutheran Social Services provides. Bridget Hires, she is a nutritionist. She is going to come and join us about midway into the meeting, and she is from the Ohio Department of Education. She is the Child Nutrition Program Manager, and she is actually going to join us and talk about the pandemic EBT benefits. We put some messages out there, and there have been a lot of questions. So I thought, instead of going back and forth between me and them, let's bring the experts to us to be able to answer our questions. Mrs. Seastone is here, and she is going to give us a health and safety update. And then I am going to give some updates at the end. Hot off the press, we have information about summer programming. So I don't know all the information, but I am going to share all the information that I have up to date. So we have 9 door prizes tonight.
Are you not talking to nobody?
Make sure that you put your first and last name and your child's name in the chat so that we can, Mrs. Seastone is recording those. We don't want to miss anyone's name. So if you can put, and we have, I know, Genesis and Josiah, and we have multiple family members. You're gonna go in here, Carly and Paisley Green, excellent. I see you in here. So you are going to go in, good, okay. We have Kayla Terry, student is Raymond Frazier, so excellent. These are our door prizes that we have tonight. We have some little snacky snacks and some special prizes that Mrs. Worthington got for us. That purple container is a popcorn popper, and we have some popcorn that Mrs. Worthington's going to also distribute with that. And then some pampering. Who couldn't stand a little pampering currently? I know I certainly could. So we are going to go ahead and welcome Pamela Georgiana. She again is the Vice President of Engagement with Lutheran Social Services. So if during this time you have any questions, please put them in the chat. If you have any comments, please put them in the chat, and we will be doing our best to monitor that chat. I see lots of names. Are you getting all these names, Mrs. Keystone?
Ready? 13 more 25 seconds on the clock. Your time starts now.
Are you able to mute anybody?
Energy.
Like any background noise?
Okay, so Mrs. Seastone is busily writing down all of those names. So Pam, welcome to our family engagement meeting.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate y'all letting me come and talk to you for a little bit. Hi everyone, I'm Pam. I work for Lutheran Social Services. We're a social service agency. We've been around for 109 years, I think it is. And we have a bunch of different programs that helps families in Ohio, and I wanted to just talk about a few of them today. Well, so someone's, next slide. So we're in 27 different Ohio counties, and we sort of handle, support folks who need us around the basic needs, food, shelter, safety, healing, that kind of thing. Next slide is all of our programs. And so under the Lutheran Social Services umbrella, we've got LSS Faith Mission, Food Pantries, Choices, which is the domestic violence shelter, affordable housing for seniors, senior living facilities, home health care, and 211. And I'm going to talk about just a few of them today, so that you kind of get the gist of what it is we can support families with. So on the next slide, I think we start talking about 211. So 211 is one of our newest programs. We took, they came into the family this year in March. They used to be called Hands-On, but I think most everybody knows about them from 211. On the next slide, it gives you a little bit of more information in terms of what it is we do. Basically, 211 is sort of an information and referral service. So, and there are 211s all around the country. Everyone has, most communities have a 211 where you could basically just call that number and you can ask for any kind of services that you might need. And so we run that here in Franklin County, and we're available.
Pam, I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
So when you say 211, does that mean that you just dial 211 from any phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And a little bit further down, I'll show you a couple of different ways you can get a hold of us. But 211 is what everyone kind of remembers. But yes, you just dial 211 in Franklin County, and you will get us. And we are there 24 hours a day, every day, to answer any questions, hopefully, that you may have around information or referral services that anybody might need. On the next page, it kind of tells you a little bit about some of what those services might be. It's really around food, clothing, and shelter. We set up food pantry appointments for most of the food pantries in Franklin County, or we can refer you to a food pantry where you just have to walk in. We help with you. We can refer you to people who do utility payment assistance and home repairs, taxi rides, transportation expenses, healthcare referrals. Tax time assistance is a really big one right now. Everyone's kind of worried about their taxes. We can set you up with either a volunteer to help you do your taxes or refer you to some free resources to do your taxes. And the Financial Navigator program is a new program that we just started with the mayor's office this year, and it's really around sort of helping folks learn how to budget better, learn how to sort of make your money stretch a little bit longer, helping, finding those services that you might need. You might need a few of them. And so we can kind of help you with that as well. There's a full list of resources on our website, which is there at the bottom. And if you go to the next page, these are all the ways you can get a hold of 211. So you can call 211, you can call the whole number. You can find us on the website. If you go to the website, there's a portal there where you can search for what you're looking for. You don't have to actually talk to someone. You can just, because I know, that the younger generation, they like to do it the easy way, right? So you can do it on an app, on your phone. So there's lots of ways you can sort of get the referrals that you need. And again, this is a referral service. We don't do all of those things. We will connect you to the people who do. So all of these ways are ways you can get a hold of 211 to find those services that you might need. There's actually even a chat box on our website that you can chat in as well. So that is a little bit about 211. Our next one are our food pantries. So we have food pantries.
Can I interrupt you for a second,
Yeah.
Pam? I'm sorry. Does
That's
anyone
okay.
have any questions about 211? Okay, Monica Gallagher, I see your hand raised.
I just want to know if they have information for shelters for the homeless, especially because of the weather right now.
That's a good question. There is a single point of entry for shelters that is not run by 211. It's a different phone number that the Columbus Shelter Board handles. And that is where everyone calls to find out if there's an available shelter and where they should go. And I will find that number and put it in the chat before we end tonight. I don't know it off the top of my head. That is pretty much the only thing 211 can't answer for you. They can get you that number, but then you just have to call that number.
Okay.
All right, good question. Thank you, Monica. Any other questions? about 211 before we move on? All right. If anything comes up afterwards, feel free to put it in the chat also.
Yes, definitely. So the next program I wanted to talk about is our food pantries. On the next page, it kind of gives you a little bit of an outline on what it is we do. So food pantries are really kind of a source for groceries, shelf-stable food that folks may need to sort of supplement either their SNAP benefits or just their income to sort of put food on the table. So we're kind of that step between the food bank, which is really where all the sort of food comes from, and a soup kitchen which serves meals, right? Pantries are sort of the step in the middle where you're getting food to use at home. We have both storefront pantries and mobile pantries, and we're in 12 different counties, including Franklin, Fairfield, and Delaware. And we provide non-perishable food, shelf-stable items like soup and tuna and beans and all that, plus produce, meat, bread, and dairy when we can get it. We also are trying to do more personal care items like shampoo and soap and toilet paper, because we know the SNAP benefits don't always cover that kind of stuff. So we're trying to get more of that in to our pantries as well. Here in Franklin County, well, first I'll go here in Franklin County on the next page. So instead of calling 211 for us, for our pantries, which this is kind of a little weird, I know, but it's just the way it worked out. You, instead of calling 211 to set up an appointment for our pantries in Franklin County, what you do, you go on our website, lssfoodpantries.org, and make an appointment and fill out an order for what you want online. And so then you get an email saying, here's your appointment time, here's where you should go, here's what you ordered, and you just show up at that appointment time. It makes things a little bit simpler when when you get there, you don't have to wait as long, because we kind of stagger the appointments and you're not on the phone forever because you do this all online. So this is only for our Franklin County pantries right now. It's not for the other ones. We still, any of the other pantries in town, you would still call 211 or just walk in, depending on what they do. And our other pantries and our other mobile and our other counties aren't quite ready to do this yet. But this is a really cool system because you can kind of, right now we're doing food boxes because of the pandemic, and we're just not able to have a lot of volunteers in our pantries right now. We really need them to kind of do this. But when this is, after COVID is over, you'll be able to go in and pick anything you want. Like, if you don't like mandarin oranges, you can choose pears instead. If you don't like black beans, you can choose, kidney beans, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. You get to choose what you want, and that way, we make sure that people, eat what they're given. Right now, like I said, we're sort of back to the box, the basic box thing, just to keep everybody safe in the pantries. But we're hopefully going to go back to choice very, very soon. So
before we move on, there was a question in the chat. What paperwork items are needed from families to provide the food to the families, and do they offer delivery? Very good question for parents who don't drive or are unable to make it to the location.
So for Lutheran Social Services pantries, you just need an ID as long as you've made an appointment. Then you're in the system and you're all good to go. You just need an ID. To get in the system, you'll need IDs for all of your family members, including Social Security numbers, to get into the system. But that can all be done either online or on the phone with our phone number. For other pantries, that's usually the requirement. Sometimes they require birth certificates. Sometimes, it kind of depends on the other pantries. But if you call 211, they will be able to tell you what each pantry's kind of requirements are. Delivery, we are not able to do delivery right now for Lutheran Social Services, but there are pantries that do deliveries. And if you call 211, they'll be able to tell you who those folks are.
Does that answer the question? Okay, good. Any other questions about the food benefit, food pantry?
So if you go to the next slide, it tells you our South Side Pantry. And so this is our South Side Pantry. It's on Champion Avenue, Champion and Freebus. We're open in the afternoons for appointments and then for produce walk-ins. What that means is you don't if you want to just get produce, you can come once a week just to get produce and you don't need an appointment for that. You just walk in. You can do a full shop appointment where you're getting your box once a month, and that you need an appointment for. So we're open for walk-in produce distributions every day, and we do the full shop appointments Tuesday through Friday. This is on the south side, like I said, Champion and Freebus. We are going to try an evening next week. We've had some people ask us for evenings time frame, so we're going to try one next week on Monday to see how that goes. If we get really good, we get lots of people. We may do more evenings, and we're actually thinking about Saturdays too. Again, we depend on volunteers to have our pantries run. So, and it's been really difficult to get folks to do that now with the pandemic and people just trying to stay home and stay safe. So this is the south side. We also have one on the west side. And that's the next slide. This one is in the Glenwood Community Center. The city lets us use their space to do our pantries there. And we do these on Fridays. So full appointments on Fridays and walk-in produce on Fridays. Again, if we see more need, we may change that schedule and add to that schedule. This is kind of what we've landed on right now for the pandemic. So those are our two Franklin County locations for our food pantries.
And Pam, there was a question in the chat. Is this for all eligible Franklin County residents?
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't matter what zip code you're in.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Any Franklin County resident can make an appointment and come to our pantries. So that was it for pantries, unless there's any other questions.
Is that
Great.
Glenwood Community Center, is that over off of by Hawks Avenue, Avondale?
Yes,
No,
I believe so. I think so. I'm not positive. It's the
Okay.
community center.
Yeah, the address threw me off because I didn't know. I thought it was on Hawks in town.
Monica says that she's in the Glenwood area.
Glenwood area is over by Broad Street for the community center. 1888 Fairmont is going to be right there by the Lechner and Broad Street area. What you're thinking, ma'am, is Gladden Community House.
Gladden, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I got it mixed up too. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
And I also want to thank Monica because she's going to spread the word. We have a lot of families that live in around the Glenwood area. So
Great. Awesome.
Spreading the word.
That's great. Yeah, we love it. The Glenwood Community Center, the folks there are really, really nice. They've really supported us. And I think we'd like to do more there if we could figure out a way to, make it work and have the ability to. Okay, so Choices is the domestic violence shelter, and I included a little bit of information just on domestic violence on these slides, just because I think there's a lot of just assumptions that are wrong about domestic violence. Domestic violence is a pattern of abuse that it really has to do with control. It's about controlling someone. It's not necessarily only about physical violence. It's also, mental, emotional, gaslighting, financial violence, financial abuse, withholding, access to your family, that kind of thing. So any pretty much pattern of behavior that is trying to control another person is domestic violence, and it's a crime. And so I just always say that in these presentations because I think folks are sort of conditioned to say, oh, it's a family problem. It has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? Just kind of, let's not talk about it. But, I just think we just need to break that cycle of just sweeping it under the rug and letting it continue because, because it becomes a pattern for a family and generations, right? The kids see it, they think it's normal, and it just keeps going. So I always put this in here just because I think it's really important that we know this. So choices is, and there's more statistics on this other slide that on the next slide that it's just that I won't get into, but let's just you can read this for yourself, but it's in every neighborhood, and it's not in just certain neighborhoods. 1 in 3 women experience it. So it pretty much, you consider your 2 best friends, we pretty much all know someone, right? So choices on the next slide is we are the only domestic violence shelter in Franklin County. We have 120 beds, and we are always full. We shelter people who are in intimate partner violence relationships, which basically means husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, that kind of thing, sort of a long-term intimate partner relationship. But we don't just shelter the victim, we also shelter anyone who she or he believes is their family. So at any given time, there are, half of the people in the shelter are kids. That come to that come with their victim parent. And, there's probably other forms of violence. We see in families who are experiencing intimate partner violence, they're probably experiencing other kinds of violence like child abuse and elder abuse. And we support those, issues as well with our partners. But, for us to only be the only domestic violence shelter in Franklin County, of a county of our size, and only have 120 beds, it's, we're always full. We're always over full. Let's put it that way. And there's definitely a need for services for victims. We also run the 24-hour crisis hotline, which we took 4,300 calls last year on that crisis line. And these are people who are calling, who need immediate assistance, who the police are calling us because they're there. They were called there for something that happened, and they're trying to get the victims help. Sometimes we're called just for counseling. Sometimes we're called for peer groups. It runs the gamut of crisis and just information, but it's a very busy hotline. We staff it 24 hours a day. We do counseling, we do support groups, we do legal advocacy and community advocacy for victims. Pretty much we try to help victims get from a very dangerous and unlivable situation to a safe a safe situation in which they can start a new life, right? We're the services in between that gets them from here to there. And whatever it is that we need to do to kind of help them do, we do. Or we try to do, at least, let's put it that way. So Choices is available for anyone who needs support from a violent relationship. And I always just ask people to keep the crisis line number on them for if they see anyone, they know anyone, they hear anything, the whole, hear it, say something. It's so important in this situation. And all you have to do is give them the crisis line. That's all you have to do. You don't have to get in the middle of it. You don't have to try to mediate any situations. You just give the victim the crisis hotline and hope that they will get the services and the help that they need.
Are there support groups for individuals that are at Choices?
They're for both. We also do support groups and counseling services for folks who are not in the shelter. We have a lot of folks who have already left but still need counseling. We have a lot of folks who are not ready to leave but want to do counseling, kind of like just a safety plan and to get to the point where they feel like they can leave. And so at peer and support groups the same way. So no, you don't have to be in the shelter to use those services. And I will say, with the pandemic, that's been difficult to keep up with. We can't go to McDonald's to meet someone for a counseling session. You know what I mean? Like we used to. Or she couldn't get out of the house because her abuser is home now. You know what I mean? So we do our best to keep those community-based services going. The pandemic has kind of made it a little difficult. And I will just say, just anecdotally, the pandemic has made it very hard. There's been a spike I think you probably heard this on the news, there's been a spike in violence across the board because of the pandemic. And there's been a spike in calls to our calls to us because of the pandemic. Abusers are home more. Things are tense. It's definitely not been good for victims.
Mhm.
So that's it for choices, unless anybody has any questions. I know I'm running out of time, so I'll be fast.
Mhm.
So Faith Mission is our homeless shelter. There are several homeless shelters in town, in Franklin County. We are just one of them. We're one of the larger ones, but we're not the only one. Faith Mission is downtown on Grant by Columbus State. We house adult men and women. 246 of them every evening. We don't do families. There's a different shelter that does families. We just do adult men and women. We also house vets. We have separate veterans facilities for both men and women who need homeless shelters. We also have, I'll go to the next slide. We also have a federally qualified health center on campus. This health center is available not only for the folks in our shelter, but anyone in the community who is underinsured or uninsured. This health center can provide medical, vision, dental, behavioral health, HIV testing and prevention, podiatry. They can provide a lot of different medical services for folks who just don't have the insurance to go to the doctor, relies on the ER for their medical services. They can come to us at Grant Avenue and we can help them out. We're doing COVID testing. We're hopefully going to do vaccines if they ever become available. So the health center is a good resource for folks who don't have the insurance to go to a regular doctor. There's a phone number there to call to make an appointment. We are doing walk-ins on a really, really small basis because of the pandemic. So it's probably best to call. But we are definitely there for you. The shelter is available for anyone who needs a place to stay, and we will help those folks, find permanent housing as well as jobs and the health services they need at Faith Mission at the health center as well.
Monica had her hand raised. Since taking it down, Monica, do you still have a question or a thought, comment? Okay.
And just FYI, we do have a smaller shelter in Fairfield County. If you know folks in Fairfield County, we do have a small shelter for adults in Fairfield County as well. Okay.
In the chat, Monica mentioned her family feeds the homeless once a month and was wondering if they allow people to drop off food.
Yes, we do. There is information on lssnetworkofhope.org in the ways to give section that'll tell you how to do that. We always appreciate food dropped off, not only for Faith Mission, but also for choices. That would be awesome. We would love that. And yes, we do take toiletries and some clothing, not a lot because we just don't have the space to store it. But all that information you'll find on the website. Thank you for that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, great, thank you.
So last thing is just our senior services. We do senior housing on the next page. We do some senior housing for folks who need assisted living or skilled nursing. Or assisted living at Kensington Place, which is over by the airport. Affordable housing, we have a bunch of different locations around the state that is HUD-based housing where, seniors can live there on a sliding scale depending on how much income they make. That depends, that kind of, their income dictates what their rent is. So it's affordable housing, safe housing, clean housing, a really good resource for seniors who are on limited income. So we have several locations in Franklin County. You can find that on the website that's there for the locations. And then we have home health care for seniors who are at home and may need just a little bit of help at home. So those are our seniors, our senior services for Franklin County. And on the next page is our website. So any other information you might need, you'll probably find there pretty easily.
Whoops, sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
And if that's it for me, unless anybody else has any questions. Oh, and I need to find that central point of access number. I will do that.
Yes, on the health center, can that be for anybody who does like work
Sure.
but
Yes.
doesn't have the insurance?
Yes.
Like,
as long,
well, I'm asking because my grandchild, we got custody of my grandchild, and her grandfather, sorry to talk this way, but my old man, he just started a new job, at Kroger's, and I know it's just like part-time right now. He's not making much, but he has been having a lot of leg problems because he has to walk in this and back and forth, and he has no insurance. As I said, he just started. I get insurance for my granddaughter, but he and dentistry, maybe some, but
yeah. He would definitely be welcomed at the health center.
Oh.
Yes.
I definitely wrote that down because
Good.
he's been living with it,
Yeah.
And I think it's a big part of why he couldn't hold down his last job, because he was constant walking and but I do appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, we see that a lot at Faith Mission. I heard the other day somebody said that he hadn't had glasses in like 20 years, and he couldn't see any of the like the job applications that he was trying to fill out, and that's why he was having a really hard time finding a job. So we got him a pair of glasses, and he's off and running now. Sometimes the issues build on top of each other, right? Health issues becomes job issues, becomes homeless, home housing issues. It all kind of builds up together. So that's great. He would definitely go to the health center. I will find the central point of access phone number for everyone before I get off here, but I'm happy to answer any other questions.
What other questions does anyone have? You're getting lots of thanks for the great information that you've shared today, Pam.
Good.
Does anyone else have any other questions or anything they need more clarification about any of the services? And I didn't realize that Choices, has Choices always been under Lutheran Social Services, or has that been a recent development?
Pretty recent. We took them over 5 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, they've been around for 40 years, but they came under the umbrella of us about 5 years ago. We just built a brand new shelter. They only had 50 beds when we took them over, so we just built a brand new shelter because we really needed the beds. But
130.
We have 120 right now. We just finished another wing. We'll add another 24 after for that, so we'll have 144 as of April probably.
I hate that there's that need, but I'm also very thankful that you're there. Yes. All right. So Pam put the number for the homeless hotline in the chat. It is 614-274-7000.
So if people are interested in getting their taxes done, as far as I remember, you guys have volunteer tax accountants that come in and volunteer their time. And how do people make appointments? Do they just call the 211, or do they call over on Champion?
No, we're not. 211 is handling all of that now for the tax time things. It's again, the pandemic has made things a little bit more difficult than it was in the past. But yeah,
are they doing it in person or like Zoom meetings?
Zoom meetings for the most part. Yeah.
Okay. So they'll let them know what information that they need to have.
Yeah.
And then somebody, I think that's really wonderful, because I remember a long time ago that they had actual tax accountants that would come and volunteer their time. And so you got saved a lot of money, and it was done right. So it was a really nice benefit for families.
Yeah, that was a good program. 211 can definitely help you help set that up with someone.
Okay.
All right. What other questions do you have for Pam?
Do your services help people that, like, say, with homeless, or I'm not saying for me or not, but with homeless that has pets? It's a lot of places. I mean,
Yeah.
pets are babies.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because when we built this new shelter for choices, we put a kennel in it because we have seen that, there are a lot of victims that will not leave without their pets because their pets are just as much in danger, right? So we have a kennel of choices. We do not have one at our homeless shelter. I wish we did. But I'm pretty sure that the Columbus Humane has a program with a CSB, the shelter board, to try to take as many pets as they can from folks who are entering the system. I know they did with the DV shelter, so I'm pretty sure they do with the homeless shelters as well.
Do they hold them or do they adopt them out?
I think it depends on how long they end up being there. They hold them for a certain amount of time, I believe. Yeah.
That's wonderful that they do that.
I'm pretty sure they do. Don't quote me on it, but they did it for DV, so I don't know why they wouldn't do it for the regular, homeless population.
Great question, Pam. What
Yeah.
other questions do you have for Pam before?
Are
we
most of your
transition?
food pantries are where people can pick what they want, right? So they go in and they're not just given boxes of things. Most of them are like you can go shopping, correct?
In better times, yes.
Okay. Right now it's a little bit different.
Right now it's all about, it's all a pre-packed box just because, like I said, we can't, the social distancing thing just makes it really hard for us to do that. In Franklin County, you pick everything. In better times, you'll pick everything you want online.
Well, that's new.
Yeah, that's something we started a couple of years ago. And I guess, and that, like I said, it just kind of it just makes the wait time a little less. So we're going to get back to that very, very soon.
Wow, I didn't even know that you guys did that. That's very interesting. So do you have a lot of volunteers? If people want to volunteer, do you guys look for volunteers?
Absolutely, all the time. Are you kidding? We couldn't do what we do without volunteers. So if you go to this website, there's a volunteer page, and it'll tell you what we're looking for in terms of volunteers. We've actually got both in-person and virtual volunteer opportunities right now. For folks who may not really want to, venture out just yet. But yeah, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without volunteers.
And somebody asked already, I think, is there transportation? So if they provide all their information, they call the 211, they provide the information. Is that over Zoom that they do that, or they have to like email it or something?
For the
Like
tax thing? The tax, you mean?
For like the food pantry.
It depends on the food pantry. Everybody has a little bit of a different process, but if you call 211, they will set you up with either the pantry you want, or the pantry that's closest to you, or the pantry that has the first available appointment, depending on what's important, right?
And you can go how many times a month? How many times?
Usually, it again depends on the pantry. Usually, it's 1 or 2.
Okay. So if they wanted to go to the actual Lutheran Social Services ones, which I think there's one over on Wilson, right? And
not anymore. No, that one.
There.
No,
is there one on Champion still?
Yeah, we're still on Champion. You can go
on
the west side. We have the one at in the Glenwood Community Center.
Okay. So it moved to there. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's a lot closer for families, anyways. Then.
So
they would call the 211, make an appointment.
Not for us. I know it's kind of weird. Because we have the online system, you don't have to call 211. You just have to go on the website and make an appointment. Okay. So for LSS's website, LSS's Franklin County, you just go to the website. Any other Franklin County pantries, you'd call 211.
And then how do they do they upload the documents since it's not in person anymore? So you guys will give them a list of what they need. Like a lot of times I think you guys take, as far as the kids, I think you want like medical cards that have their name and date of birth on it. That's usually acceptable.
It depends again on the pantry. Usually we'll take that over the phone. You know what I mean? We'll just, and we're just looking for social security numbers and date of birth. And as long as we have that, as long as we have, talking about LSS, as long as we have that in our system, we don't need to see it when you show up. Other pantries may be different.
And there was
Now,
one last question in the chat, Pam. Is there an address for the health services location?
Yeah, it's 245 North Grant Avenue.
Great.
And so when they call, do you guys ask them to, how do they verify or show proof of that information? Is it electronically? Do they have to email it or?
Well, you still have to show up to get your food and you show it then.
Show it during that time. Okay.
Right.
All right. And I remember before it used to be like, it's been so long, but I think you could go to, I think the Lutheran Social Services once or twice a month. So you could pick one and maybe another one on another side of town or something.
Yeah, you can, for a full shop, you can go, theoretically, you can go once a month, and then you can come for produce once a week for LSS.
And do you guys still do walk-ins for like the smaller amounts? Is that what the produce would be?
Yeah. Yeah, produce is walk-in. You don't have to make an appointment.
It's walk-in.
And
Okay.
typically when you come in for produce, you'll get produce and bread and meat if we have any. So you'll get a little bit more than produce.
What days are those on? They just vary, or is it once a week or
Champion, it's Monday through Friday, different times though, and Glenwood is Friday.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much for all that information.
No problem.
And we
Happy
can
to help.
the specific information through the Lutheran Social Services website also.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Great.
Yeah,
Excellent.
everything's on the website. And I sent a handout too that kind of has the really important phone numbers on it. And you can find that on the website too. Just under like the Get Help tab. Yeah.
Is that the one that you emailed me?
Yeah.
Okay, I did send that out to the families on Remind.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Pam, for this wealth of information for Lutheran Social Services for our community. Thank you for everything that you're doing to make sure families are taken care of. There was one little tidbit of information that Monica put in the chat. It said, if anyone is in need of produce and food boxes, keep an eye out for Jordan's Crossing on Hague. They do food boxes almost daily. So is that Hague close to us, close to Mound Street?
I think it's close to Briggs. It's a church by Briggs Road and Hague Avenue.
Okay. Oh, she says Valley View.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that church right there on Briggs and I thought that was something crossing. Maybe
That's
there's
Crossroads.
Crossroads. Okay.
Yeah.
Crossroads also has a food pantry and you can sign up as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm
Jordan's Crossing is no ID, no anything. You can pull up, get the food box and go. They've also been setting up within the community, like throughout the week periodically. They do the food boxes. They have milk, onions, potatoes, everything in there. So like just keep an eye out. Like I share a lot of the information on Facebook or whatever, but there's a lot of Facebook pages that have the free food almost every day. There's free food giveaways, guys. Just if you need it, just pay attention on the Facebook.
The YMCA over in Valley View does that also. Is that the same? Is that the one that you're talking about, Monica?
Nope. Jordan's Crossing is right there right after the railroad tracks, before you get to Valley View Avenue on the right hand
Okay,
side.
right there on the corner. Okay. That's daily.
Not daily. I mean, almost daily. You'll see them out there. They post it and they have big tents out there. They're a big shelter. They do a lot for the community. I mean, a lot for the community. Clothes, everything. They do whatever they can. I want to say they provide shelter, but I'm not positive.
Well, speaking of food, again, thank you, Pam. I would like to welcome Bridget Dr. Hires. She is a registered dietitian with the Ohio Department of Education. Her title is Child Nutrition Program Manager with the Office of Integrated Supports. So we, we put that out about the pandemic electronic benefits that you're getting, that because we're 100% free and reduced lunch site, and we qualify for those benefits. There were some questions that came to us, and I wasn't quite sure of the answer, so I reached out to actually Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, and they led me to Bridget. So Bridget, welcome to our meeting today, and Bridget is going to share with us the P-EBT benefits.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. I appreciate it. So P-EBT, we are now in our third round of this program. It's funded at the federal level. The U.S. Department of Agriculture funds this, and they're the same folks who fund the National School Lunch and Breakfast Program, the typical meals that your children would get in school. So this program first started back in May. There was a May round, and that was to help families because, of course, the schools were closed. And what this P-EBT does is it gives families the equivalent amount of money that a breakfast and a lunch would cost at school. So this year, for the 2021 school year, it is a daily rate of $6.82 for every day a child qualifies. And I'll get into that here in a moment, of what qualifies. So this is going to be the third round that's coming out. We had the round in May, then we had a round in September, and now we have this round that's going to come out. It should be coming out in February. And why this round is so important is when you get the card, if you end up getting a card as opposed to the P-EBT on your SNAP card that you already have, if you get a card in the mail, you want to keep this card when you're done with your benefits that are loaded on it now, because what's going to happen is this card is going to be your card for the rest of the school year. We're just going to keep putting the benefits on this card that's coming in the mail now. So let me backtrack here for a moment. For the 2021 school year, this P-EBT of the $6.82, the children get this $6.82 for every day that they're at home learning. So any days, and I know that some of the schools are starting to go back in person, some through the district. So for every day that your child was home learning, you're going to get $6.82. Now, if you do have a SNAP card, there was a SNAP card deposit that was put into your accounts. It should have come around the first week of February, right around February 5th or so. It might have been a couple days before or after, but right around that time, you would have gotten P-EBT benefits, and that would have covered for October and November to cover those days. Now, again, if you're getting them right on a SNAP card as opposed to getting a card in the mail, you're going to get another benefit load here in about a week or so. And that's going to be your benefits from December. So we're kind of like incrementally loading the benefits. Now, the cards, and as Amy had mentioned, Columbus Public students, every Columbus Public student is eligible to get this program. And you'll get it either loaded on your SNAP card that your household already has, or you'll get a card in the mail. Now, the cards in the mail, they got a little bit delayed because a bunch of states are trying to get the cards out in the mail, and a lot of the states use the same card vendor, and it just sort of worked out that way, unfortunately. But the cards are going in the mail as we speak. They started going out in the mail last Friday, and the mailings are continuing all through this week. So some of you might have a card already that just arrived. Most of you probably it's still in the mail. Hopefully everybody should have it by this time next week. The post office is a little tricky these days, so sometimes the mail kind of gets delayed. But hopefully it will be great, and you'll have a card in hand by this time next week.
Bridget,
So-
can I interrupt for one
Yeah,
second? We've got
absolutely.
a hand raised with Monica, and then I wanted to share a question in the chat.
Sure.
Okay, so I just was wondering, because you had said if you have the card that it comes on that card. My child, I have like a junior, so I'm a mom of 4. So 3 of the benefits came on our actual card, but then I received a card in the mail for my son. And then the second time you sent around, I got a separate card. So will I get another card in his name? Because I don't get the benefits on my regular card for him. I don't know if it's just not establishing him as an individual because he's a junior and they share the name, or.
Yeah, it could be if for some reason his name is a little different on how he's in the SNAP benefit versus how his name shows up at the school. Sometimes that can throw it off a little bit, and that's why he's getting cards in the mail as opposed to on your SNAP card.
Okay.
But yes, you're going to get one more card in the mail, and it should be coming anytime now. And that's the card you'll want to keep for the rest of the year. You won't keep getting cards in the mail. We finally figured out a way that we could get a permanent card for the rest of the year mailed out to everybody. So you should be getting one more card.
Okay.
Will each student get a card? So for instance, if they don't get a normal EBT card and they're going to get the P-EBT card and they have 4 children, will each child get their own card with the money for each child?
Mm-hmm. Yes, great question. We tried really hard because we know that that's going to be a lot to keep track of for families. We tried really hard to think through, is there any way that we could just roll the benefits all to one card so that you don't have to keep track of as many cards? And we just couldn't figure out a good way to get it done and still get the cards out in the mail as fast as possible so the households can have them, and because the benefit's so important. So each child will end up getting a card in the mail. Yes.
All right. So each parent should keep these cards that they get in February. There'll be one for each child. And this is only for families that don't normally get the monthly EBT. It's for families that don't normally get food assistance. Yeah. And so if you have 4 children, you're going to get 4 cards. You want to save them for the future, for future reloading. But the funds that are going to be put on there, so you're saying that the money is going to be for December, and then so in March, it'll be for January?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
You got it.
All right.
I wanted to just hop in here and say, that the state is working with the local school districts and pulling the addresses from what we have on file. So please, please, please make sure you have the most updated address on file. That could delay you getting your child's card. There have been some questions also in the chat I'd like to stop and address before we move on. Someone said that they never got the benefits in September or February, or they never got a card.
Okay, I just dropped into the chat for that situation. You're going to want to call the P-EBT hotline, and I just dropped the number in the chat. When you call the hotline, you want to pick option 1. And I'm sorry, my dogs are cheering me on. So you're going to want to pick option 1. That will get you straight to the P-EBT operators and let them know that. Now, the February one is likely still in the mail, but if you know that you already have moved since the beginning of the school year, when you might have given the school your address, but you have since moved and you're pretty sure the school wouldn't have your updated address, that's okay. You can actually go ahead and call that hotline and let them know that you have since moved, and they'll take down your new address and make sure that they get a new card out in the mail to you.
And I will also let you know that's how I found Bridget. I called the hotline myself. And I was pleasantly surprised when I didn't have to wait at all. I got to speak with someone immediately, and I've spoken with Casey and Missy, and you know, they led me to Bridget. So they are very helpful. And hopefully you are taking down that number. I'm just checking real quick through the chat to make sure that there's, okay, so if you never got a card, I would definitely call that hotline. Then you lost your card, definitely call that hotline number. All right, and Monica raised her hand. Go ahead, Monica.
Okay, and then I just have one more question. I'm sorry. When I had to register my son's card, I had to use like the birth date. So when you call and you're supposed to enter the card number, it wasn't accepting it. Is it going to still be like that, or is it going to accept the card number this time?
That's a really good question. And thank you for bringing that up, because that does confuse a lot of people. When you get the card in the envelope, it will have some instructions on how to activate your card, like what number to call, what information to put in. What you're going to want to know is that I believe the call line, when you call to activate your card, is going to say enter the last 4 digits of the social, but you're not going to want to do that. It actually is the birth date year. So if your child was born in 1995, you'll actually put 1995. So it will ask for the social, but ignore that, put in the birth year. Now, Monica, was it because the school accidentally had the wrong birth year on file that some of that has happened where the file, for whatever reason, the birth year gets messed up, for lack of a better term.
As far as I know, everything at the school, because I'm really accurate about keeping all the paperwork up to date,
Sure.
Everything with Job and Family Services should be accurate and up to date. Like, because I even turn in like the birth certificate every single redetermination. And then the school, everything should be accurate, because I actually used to be a parent consultant at West Mound. So like, I made sure all my stuff was proper. But like I said, I think it's just because my son is a junior, because I got the benefits on the card for 3 of my children, but then I received that card separately both times for his name, and it says his on the bottom of the card. And then when I access it, I have to put in his year of birth, like 2007. And then after I activate it, I can check the card balance.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Monica. Yeah, I really appreciate you giving that point of information. So yes, you're going to put in the birth year of the child that is on the front of the card, and that should work. Now, if it doesn't work, no worries. Give that P-EBT hotline a call. 99% of the time it's worked out, but like I said, for some reason, for a couple of children, the birth year has gotten off, but the P-EBT hotline would be able to tell you what the birth year is in the record, and that would be used to activate the card.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bridget, but it's just so nice when these questions pop up to address them immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you did. So we talked about how to activate the card, that the fact that the card that, actually, let me back up. First, what JFS does try to do, though, just like in Monica's case, we try to put the benefit on an already existing SNAP card of the household. If for whatever reason the child just doesn't match to that household account, then they'll get a card in the mail. That card that's coming in the mail in this next week, you're going to want to keep, because that's going to get just loaded with benefits all through the year. Now, as Columbus City changes to have more in-person days, that we we all hope that that's what's going to happen, but we'll, see how the school year goes. What you might notice is the amount that gets loaded every month might go down, because the kids, if they get meals at school to eat at school, then that will be a day they won't get a P-EBT benefit, because they got the meals at school. Now, with that said, though, if your school is offering meal pickup on a periodic basis, or you're getting meals from the school district, like you're going to the school and picking them up and taking them home, that does not take away days of P-EBT. It's only the days that the child goes to school and is offered the meals at school. So just kind of be aware of that throughout the year, if your child ends up going to the school building more often, you might see your P-EBT go down, how much money is loaded through the year. Let's see, what else? Absolutely call the P-EBT hotline, especially if you already know your address needs to be updated. That is what they're there for, and we have more and more people on the hotline because we hated the fact that people had to wait so long in the spring when it was first, when it first came out, and everybody had so many questions. And so we did have really long wait times, and we apologize that happened, but we've really tried hard to have the hotline staff so that people won't have to wait very long to get their questions answered.
I've had 2 very pleasant experiences, Bridget.
Oh, yay, awesome, very good.
Yeah, I called them also, and they were within just a minute or so.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, good.
Go ahead, Bridget.
Yeah, I was just going to say one more thing, that the P-EBT benefits, because some families don't, have a SNAP card, that this is a somewhat newer program. If you're interested in knowing what kind of food you can get with the P-EBT, I can drop in a web address that is to the Job and Family Services. They have a nice question and answer that talks about, what to expect. Let me go ahead and put that in there. Where you can use it. It talks about the grab and go. It's a very nice, helpful point of information that you might find useful as well. So I just dropped that in there. But generally speaking, it's my understanding the benefit can be used for all of your typical food items. It can't be used for ready-made hot items, from my understanding, or alcohol or paper products, things like that. But your cereals, your bread, your milk, your eggs, all that kind of stuff can be used for. Most grocers take the P-EBT or the EBT card, and what will happen is, if you go through the grocery line and you have things on your grocery list and on your, that you're going to pay for that aren't able to be used with the P-EBT, what they'll have you do is you'll swipe your EBT card first, and then it will deduct out what it can deduct out, and then you'll just use a different payment for the other things that you can't use your EBT card. So it's nice and easy, and you don't have to separate things out. It's really pretty nice that way. Okay.
All right. Wonderful information, Bridget. I am so glad you were able, and this was really short notice. I had started calling last week to get some questions answered, and Bridget just committed to us today. So I really appreciate you being here and sharing all this wonderful information that we're doing through the Ohio Department of Agriculture, or the U.S. Department of Agriculture, really, actually. Yes, I agree. Very great information. Okay, so Monica wants to know, are you aware of Otc Network Benefits?
That one I'm not aware of.
Okay, so OTC Network Benefits is like if you receive the Care Source. I'm not sure if Molina offers it, but like the Medicaid through the Job and Family Services, you can sign up, and like if you take your kids to appointments and you to appointments, for your checkups or whatever, you get cash on the card that you can use for like medication if your child needs it, feminine things and you can only use it at certain locations, but the stores have it marked like OTC approved on the shelves.
Oh, that's really helpful. That's awesome information.
Great information. So many times the experts are in the room, and we have lots of great experts in here that are so helpful in getting the information out there. We appreciate all those that have commented.
I I did put the information in the chat on how to, if their address, because whatever address is on Infinite Campus is where the card's going to go to. So I put the information in the chat on how they can make sure that their address is up to date and everything's accurate. Just a few steps, and if you go into your parent portal and do that, then you'll make sure that then your card will come to the right address. And it is a really important thing that if you do have other items, if you have food and toilet paper and stuff, that you pay with your EBT card first, because if you pay with your credit card, they can't separate it.
And
So
then do you have the link put up if they don't know how to get to the parent portal? Because what some parents may not know how to access that parent portal to update, because you have to have like a code if you've never been on there.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time throughout the year
On there.
sharing information with the families on how to get to parent portal and to get them all set up, because they have to take attendance and so on and so forth. So we have definitely spent a lot of time, and so I send that out pretty regularly.
Perfect.
Yes, and if anyone needs any individual assistance, you can always reach out to myself or Sheila, or I know Sharon Byers, the secretary, has helped a lot of people with that too. But it's also good to know that they can call the hotline and get the address updated in there as well. I mean, of course, it's important that we have the correct address in Infinite Campus. And as Sheila said, she put the directions in there, but sometimes they're very difficult. It's tricky navigating sometimes the parent portal, but we are here and we are happy to help. We are at the end. I see it is after 6 o'clock, 6:05. So lots of great information that was shared tonight. If you have any other questions after tonight, something pops in your head at midnight or whatever, write it down. I do have on my list that I need to send something to Monica for the volunteer section for the Lutheran Social Services. So if anything comes up, reach out to us and we can get the answers for you. See a new chat, Buckeye Health. Okay, yes, Pam, thank you. Very good information from Bridget and Pam. We really appreciate you being here on such short notice, Bridget. Thank you again. We did not get to the health and safety, but we are just, I'm just going to quickly go through this so you see what we were going to talk about. Things are going well at West Mound with our social distancing. I just wanted to quickly go over some updates. As you know, we have remote learning that is going to occur on February 25th, 26th, March 1st, and March 2nd. The teachers are probably going to be reaching out to you, but it's going to be a whole class. It's going to be both cohorts together, learning with their teacher on the 25th and 26th, and on the 1st and on the 2nd. I also want to remind 5th grade parents that the high school, middle school, even 8th grade parents, the high school, middle school lottery closes on February 26th. I was going to talk a little bit about summer school, but I'll save that for the next meeting on March 9th, I believe we scheduled it for, Sheila.
Yes, I believe so. The
Okay.
second Tuesday, I think that's the 9th.
March 9th. So we'll talk more about summer school, but just so you know, if you are interested, West Mound is a summer site location and registration opens through the parent portal on March 1st. So that will be before we have, and we know West Mound fills up pretty quickly. And then March 31st, I shouldn't even give you this date because we don't want to lose any kids, but the elementary school lottery closes on March 31st. So we will talk about summer experience the next time. It's time for our drawing. So Mrs. Seastone has written down all of the names, and we are going to draw first for the animal crackers.
All right, I promise you I have them mixed up really, 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 really good. Okay, first one is to Aaliyah and Charles. It's Mr. Stickler who's on here today, but that's for Aaliyah and Charles.
All right.
Yay on the animal crackers. Who doesn't love some good animal crackers? I do.
Good. And number 2, the veggie straws.
Okay.
Who's getting the veggie straws?
And veggie straws go to Madison Lindley.
All right, congratulations,
Madison is super excited about those veggie straws. I know she is.
All right, congratulations, Madison. Number 3 is the Nesquik chocolate milk mix. And you can heat that up and have some hot chocolate.
That goes to Jaquan Howe.
All right. Congratulations, Jaquan. Moving along to those cheese balls. Prize number 4, the big tub of cheese balls.
Cheese balls go to Hayden Blankenship.
All right.
Your mom is on
Hayden.
here.
Congratulations. Oh, the tackies. I kind of hid them back there, but can you see them, kids? Prize number 5, the talkies. How do we pronounce that? Tackies or talkies?
I don't know. I think it's I don't know. I say Takis. I don't know.
Talkies.
And Joseph Gabriel or Monica Gallagher.
Woohoo! Congratulations, Joseph. All right. Don't eat them all at once. They're pretty hot and
Yeah,
spicy.
as the school nurse, I can say, please don't eat all those tackies at one time. Please. We get a lot of tacky bellies.
The M&M candy popcorn.
Richard Weber. I think Mama's on here.
All right, Richard.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Richard. And who's that number 7 popcorn popper going to? Is that you just put it in the microwave, Mrs. Worthington?
Yes, you just put the popcorn in the microwave, and then you can, there's directions on it. You just heat it up and enjoy.
And invite us all over for a movie,
Yay.
right? Who's
Ready?
the winner, Mrs. Seastone?
And this one goes to Carly and Paisley. Miss Heartless is on tonight.
All right. Carly and Paisley Green got enjoying some popcorn and this wonderful, oh, I wish you did you put my name in? I want this, one of these
No,
pampering
I didn't, Miss
sets.
Barber. I
Oh,
didn't think that would be
darn.
fair. No.
Okay. Who's getting the first set, Mrs. Seastone?
Genesis and Josiah.
Ooh, all right. Congratulations. And who's getting the second set?
Second set. Oh, Monica, I forgot to grab yours out of there. Here we go. And I've had Bridget Hires down, but Bridget was a speaker. Kayla Terry.
All right. Okay, congratulations to all of our winners. We will be getting your door prizes to your students to be sent home. Mrs. Worthington did put in the chat when we are going to be meeting next. We are scheduled for Tuesday, March 9th. Please, please, please pray that we don't have a snow day so that we don't have to reschedule. Thank you for your patience in rescheduling this meeting. So glad you all were able to make it, and we hope everyone has a great rest of your evening. Take care.